The bowl system is kind of broken. And I came up with some ways for us to try to fix it, okay? Because it's not enough to just say something is broken. You got to offer solutions. Drop the early signing period. I thought the early signing period was cool until we had the transfer portal window in the fall, and then it means absolutely nothing. Because not only will guys not sign during that period and might want to take it into February, we're talking about transfer portal commitments being bigger deals than 5-star commitments to whatever university, especially if that 5-star is not a quarterback, because we don't know if that dude's going to even be around there. I remember Tony Grimes enrolled early at North Carolina. That was a big deal. He has since decided to transfer from Texas A&M. Did you know that? You know, we're talking about Denver Harris taking a visit to go back to Texas A&M, okay? That's where we are in this whole conversation around the early signing period. I think you just go back to February and let the transfer portal do what the transfer portal does if you choose to keep it. But I don't know that that's a good idea. I don't know that the fall transfer portal is doing what we expected to do. Now, I am loath to close the fall transfer portal entry period as long as football coaches get to be hired and fired during the same amount of time. I don't see that as fair. And just because that was the way it was doesn't mean it's the way it should be. We can come up with a better fix for this. And it might just be you don't get to fire a head coach until after the February signing period, or you just move the transfer portal entry period back to somewhere in January. How does that work with your academic calendar? It doesn't, is the answer. So maybe you only have the one period in the spring, but I still don't like this idea that you're going to have coaches that can get hired and fired or take other jobs and leave the kids there during spring football to kind of just fester. If they don't want to be there, you don't want to keep them there. Mack Brown was the first to actually acknowledge this. He said, look, I want kids at North Carolina that want to be at North Carolina. And if you don't want to be at North Carolina, I will help you go where you want to go. I think that's the way it's got to be. I know that we got coaches who are belly aching about having to recruit the kids that are on their roster, to which I say, that's your job. That's your job. If you don't want to do the job, quit. I guarantee you, there's a number of us that will take your $10 million head coaching gig tomorrow, and we will recruit all 85 of those players every single damn day. If you have got to a point where you are going to moan and complain about doing your job when it's inconvenient to do your job, quit. We ain't got time for that. We have no time for that at all, okay? Especially given the buyout that you get for getting fired. Nah, I'm not dealing with that. The other thing that I think we can do to fix the bowl system is compensate the players. Pay the labor. Hello? Now, this kind of gets into some legal territory, but it's really not that complicated. The bowls can pay an NIL deal to a player to promote the bowl they're playing in, which more or less says they're going to play in the bowl, right? Think about what the Pop-Tarts Bowl has done for college football. We got kiddos that had never really been interested in college football that are interested in the Pop-Tart Bowl. I know this because I have a colleague who was watching the college football playoff semifinal. His kiddo walked out into the living room and said, are y'all watching the Pop-Tarts Bowl? And they said, no. Kid walked right back into his room and start playing. What if you could bottle that and use that to get more kids like that one to watch the football games that we think matter, right? I think that's a good way to go. I also understand that means taking revenue away from somebody, but you can also grow the revenue share pie, and you don't need to be greedy about it. Like, if you are going to come up with a way for athletic departments to drop their money into a blind trust that you get to pull on for each one of these athletes, I think everybody wins there. I understand that nobody wants to share their money because this is America, but hey, look, at one point or another, you're going to have to pay the labor, or the labor is going to do what's in their best interest, like not play in the bowl games. And we got too many as it is, man. We got 41 bowl games, and there is no damn reason why 5 and 7 Minnesota should be playing in a bowl game. None. Bowls used to be the prize at the end of a good season. It was the guarantee that you had if we're not going to pick you to play in the college football playoff. If you had a great season, we would honor that. And even then, not always, right? The Freedom Bowl, 1991, athletic director at Tulsa, it was the athletic director at Tulsa then. His name's Rick Dixon. That dude was jet setting across the country trying to get Tulsa into a bowl game as an independent because he was recognizing the kind of season they were having was worthy of such a thing. You had to hustle to get into a bowl game. That was the year Tulsa beat Texas A&M. All right? I want that back. I want the bowl system to work to where we are looking forward to it, not it's just another game that we have to play. Now, I also understand Getting rid of the bowls, probably going to be impossible. Why? Because more people watch the Duke's Mayo Bowl and watch the Texas Bowl, watch the Holiday Bowl, than watch any NBA or NHL game during those periods. As a matter of fact, Sports Media Watch has this great note. 2.2 million people watch those bowls that I just told you about, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, Texas Bowl on average. The NHL or NBA did not crack 500,000 viewers on any of their broadcasts during those same windows. We love football. We will watch football, especially if it looks mildly competitive. I know this because I watched every bit of Rutgers beating Miami. All right? And that's the Pinstripe Bowl. All right? The Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium. I'm not huge on playing football games at Major League Baseball stadiums, but you get my point here. I'm watching it. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching Boston College play at Fenway Park against Southern Methodist because I'm that type. And apparently, there's more of us of that type than are not. But I think that those are ways in which we can really fix this thing, especially as we're going to 12 teams in the expanded playoff, depending on how grammatically correct you want to be. But we're going to have at least six of those games gone, right? New Year's 6 being in them. What if we just decide to cut the number of bowls in half? To where you basically, if you made the conference championship game, we'll find a way for you to get in there. And if you're Notre Dame and you happen to win 9 or 10 games, we'll also find a way for you to get in there, right? I don't think we need 41, though. And I think the December schedule is just so flooded because we're not just playing college football, we're watching the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wrote a story for Fox Sports about everything you needed to know for Washington versus Michigan in the national championship game. It was the second most read thing on the site. The most read thing, the playoff picture in the NFL. Why is college football trying to pick a fight with the NFL? We don't do that. We're not going to win that. Why are we playing the national championship game after divisionals? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand this. This does not make much sense to me. We need to either move the damn schedule up, which I think is great, started in early August, as opposed to early September, and start playing our national championship games around Christmas. That way we get out of the NFL's way because nothing moves the needle in this country like the NFL. College football will always be a priority, but it will never be the priority. We should adapt to such. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.